go ahead and get started. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to ABPANC's webinar. It's titled Representing ABPANC at Components. First, I'd like to thank you all for taking valuable time to join us tonight. And a big thank you for your interest and effort in representing ABPANC and promoting certification. So my name is Vicki Afanis. I'm the current president of ABPANC, and I'm really happy to be here with you guys tonight. I am going to ask you just for a few housekeeping issues. Because we get a lot of background noise and interference, I'm going to ask you guys to please mute yourself. Only because everybody else will be hearing your, your dog barking and baby crying and whatever else. So if you don't mind muting yourself, it would be really helpful because we are going to try to record this. And don't worry, because at the end, there's going to be plenty of time for question and answer. And, you'll have plenty of time to ask any questions that you might come up during the presentation. Okay. So, but let's see. I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in because I know that everybody's time is valuable here. Let me see here. My slides are not advancing. There we go. Okay. So today I'm going to be giving you an overview of the exhibiting process, as well as some exhibiting logistics, some messaging, and also go over what's new, as well as how to answer some of the more challenging questions that you might come across when you are out there exhibiting and representing ABPANC. At the end, like I said, there's going to be plenty of time for discussion and questions, but my hope is that when we're all done, you'll feel ready to represent ABPANC and to be there to answer questions for our certificates and also those who are not yet certified. I'm going to first introduce you to the ABPANC board. So this way you have some names and faces, matching the names of the faces. You can find all of us listed on the website, which is cpankappa.org. And if you go to our website and you pick the tab that says About Us and Leadership, you'll find us all on there. So sometimes that's helpful so that you know like who it is that you're talking to. It all, like I said, it gives you a face to the name. But here you have, that's me up in the left-hand corner, I guess. You've got Lynn Nolan, who I believe is also on the call. She is our ABPANC president-elect. Stu Smith and Robert Rutter are two public members. Stu is also our secretary-treasurer. Certification at its core really, or specialty certification, I should say, really exists to protect the public. So that's why it's so important for us at ABPANC to have that public voice on our board. And so these two gentlemen do a really great job of being that, the voice of the patient and the voice of the public. So next I'm going to be introducing you to your regional directors. These are your go-to folks for all things certification and recertification. They are an incredible resource. They're an incredible wealth of information, and they are here to serve your certification and recertification needs. So whenever you have a question about certification, or you're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know, start with them, because 99% of the time they have the answer. So we'll start with Region 1. This is Kim Beckman. Kim Beckman is from Idaho, and she is our ABPANC Region 1 board director. Region 1 is a huge geographical area, including, of course, NPANA, Arizona, California, Hawaii, Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, and Utah. Region 2 is Celeste. And again, all of their contact is also on the website, but we've included their email on here for you as well. Celeste is from Texas. She is a member of TAPAN. Again, another big geographical region, which includes not just Texas, but Oklahoma, Nebraska, Mississippi, Louisiana, Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, and Arkansas. Region 3 has 2 directors, Teresa Sally, who is from Ohio, and Katie Houle from Minnesota. Again, this region includes Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota, Ohio, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. I will point out Katie Houle is also our liaison, our board liaison to the CPAN exam. She is also a specialist in pediatrics. She works at a major children's medical center. And the reason I point that out is because later on you'll see we do get a lot of questions about pediatrics and having a pediatric exam. Katie does a really good job of making sure that our exams contain the appropriate amount of pediatric-based questions and that those questions are relevant to all of peri-anesthesia practice. So that's the only reason I've signaled her out there. But Region 4, moving on, is Louise Zeller, who is from Pennsylvania. She's a member of PAPAN, and Kathleen Lombardo, who is from New York. Kathleen Lombardo is our Kappa board liaison. I should say the board liaison to the Kappa exam. So she is Katie's counterpart. Very heavily involved with our exam development. So Region 4, not a big geographically, but very, very active and has a very high concentration of certified nurses, including New Jersey, Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, Pennsylvania, and of course, Rhode Island. Last but not least is Zoni Gazy. She is our Region 5 board director, and Region 5 encompasses Alabama, Maryland, Delaware, Washington, D.C., which is my personal favorite, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. So as you can see, there are so many components with so many conferences, but there's only a few of us. We are also all volunteers, just like you. And so that is why we really, really appreciate and value your help in promoting certification and recertification, because clearly we can't be everywhere all at once. So your help is really valuable to us. I'd also like to introduce you to our ABPANC staff. We are very lucky at ABPANC. We have just a truly outstanding group, including Krista Bauer. She is our CEO, Rebecca Carter, who is our controller, Judy Span, who takes care of marketing and communications, and of course, Zelda Williams, who is our program assistant. And Zelda, a lot of you guys probably know Zelda. I believe she's on the call to keep me straight tonight. Hopefully I don't say anything wrong. But Zelda is our liaison to the exhibiting program and also our coaching program. So a lot of you may have already interfaced with her. 99% of the time when you call ABPANC, she is the one who answers the phone and helps you. But more importantly for you tonight is that she is our exhibiting liaison. So she is, of course, the just incredible resource to everything, and she's also the one that you'll be contacting when you need your materials, and I'll get into that a little bit here as we go along. This is just a very brief State of the Union. Our numbers, we have over 12,651 CPN and Kappa certified nurses currently. Oops, sorry about that. Just about 7,000 of those are CPANs, just almost 5,000 of them are Kappas, and then of course we have 808 dual certified nurses. This beautiful component map shows you all of the concentration. Like I said, Region 1 is huge. We do have over 3,000 of our certified nurses in Region 1, and Region 4, which is our smallest region in size, has our next greatest number. So you can see they are all spread out. Those of you who are from Region 2, we really appreciate you because it is a big geographically, but we have the smallest number of certified nurses there. So we know that there's a big opportunity there to really reach out to your colleagues and, get them certified. So next, I'm just going to go over a little bit about some exhibiting logistics. Ideally, when you are asked to help represent ABPANC, you're doing it locally. However, if you were to need to take a flight or a train or something like that, we do have resources to help you with that. In terms of flight arrangement, we have a travel agency that we use called Professional Travel. And if you call that number that you see there on the screen, they can help you set up your flight arrangement. We do ask that you kind of go through us first before you do that, just because we don't want you flying to, Timbuktu, to be helping us out. We want it to be convenient. So hopefully you're not having to fly really far. But if that is the case, if the off chance you are doing that, just coordinate that with us. We'd be happy to help you. As far as hotel arrangements, we ask that you make your own arrangement, and then ABPANC will reimburse you. We also would reimburse you for the component meeting registration if you need that. Most of the components are very generous in providing the registration for the ABPANC representative, especially if you're there exhibiting or if you're going to be getting any podium time. Usually all that's needed is to ask them. But if they don't, that's okay. Just let us know. We will reimburse you for the registration. The ABPANC materials, we send you a huge box, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But what we need from you before your meeting is a couple things. First, we need to know, well, where is the meeting you're going to, or the conference? So the location of where we need to send the materials, how many nurses you expect, so we can ensure that we provide you with the adequate amount of certification materials, and of course the date and your contact info, and where you want those materials sent. This is basically what you're going to get in your little care package. I call it the exhibiting care package because I like to believe that Zelda packs these with love. But either way, you usually receive 2 boxes. One box contains the pop-up display, and the other box contains all of the materials. And everything you need to represent ABPANC is in this box. It comes to your house or to the venue. We do ask that you give us enough time so that we can make sure you get the boxes in time. So what that means is, ideally, we'd like to have that information, at least like 2 to 3 weeks before the actual conference that you're going to be exhibiting at. So what that means is that Zelda would need to know, like, how many people you expect, where to send the information, and what you're actually doing, so we can that to you in a timely fashion. The package also includes in there, as you can see, it's hard to see from this picture, but you get the purple tablecloth, which says ABPANC on it. But like I said, the pop-up display, you receive certification materials, materials for those who are already certified, so pens, buttons, ribbons, those are all really great giveaways. We also send you a roadmap and a diagram so you know how to set up your table. So you'll get this picture, most likely. That way you know how to kind of display things if you're not sure. And all the handouts that you see here, you get in your box. We send you a few references as well, or resources for you that you can use as a reference while you're exhibiting. One of them is the Recertification handbook and a copy of the Certification handbook. So those are very helpful to have hard copies when you're exhibiting in case you run into any questions from candidates, and also so that you're prepared to answer questions for them. You also have the ability as a ABPANC representative to raffle off one of our engraved amethyst bracelets. We'll send that to you upon request. We ask that you just please contact Zelda and let her know that that's what you want to do, so we can send you a bracelet to raffle. You will see her contact, or I think I put it up already. However, the best way is the email, which is for Zelda, zwilliams@proexam.org is her email. All right, so just some other general tips when you're exhibiting. These are just a few tips and tricks of the trade that we've gathered from previous board members and other representatives. when you have an exhibit table, we ask that, try not to necessarily park yourself behind the table because it's not very inviting. What we have found is that people tell us, no, when you're in front of the table or at the corner of the table, it's a little more inviting, it's less intimidating. Because keep in mind, a lot of people that come up to the table, they might not yet be certified. And so they might be nervous or unsure. And so having somebody who's not like standing with a barrier in between them is usually a good thing, right? Also, if you're not given time to present at the podium, which a lot of times, maybe if you're not given, in other words, if you're not on the agenda, we do ask that you, ask the coordinator of the conference for a few minutes in the beginning while they're doing like the little housekeeping things to say a few words about certification. If nothing else, it's good to just introduce yourself and say that you're there representing ABPANC and just to recognize all the CPN and Kappa certified nurses in the room. And usually that doesn't take more than like 3 minutes, to say, hi, my name is, and hey, are there any certified nurses in the room? Awesome, come by my table, I have resources for you, I have some information, come get your information, this kind of thing. We always recommend wearing comfortable shoes. Of course, put on one of the ribbons or button, show your certification pride as well. And most important is this last bullet, which is, don't worry about being able to answer everything. When patients, when nurses come up to the table, usually, like I said, they're either going to be certified and they will have questions about recertification, or they're going to be not yet certified and they'll have questions about certification. Well, being somebody who's been doing this for 6 years, I don't even have all the answers. So, no one's expecting you to, but what you should be able to do is at least refer them to some of our resources, refer them to our website, which usually has most of the answers, or if all else fails, or what we actually prefer you to do is, get their information, write down their name and contact on, or have them write their name and contact on one of our lead sheets, which I will be showing you here in a little bit, the lead sheet, so that ABPANC can follow up with them. We do follow up on those questions and leads when we get them. So, what I ask is, if you get something where it's like, gosh, I don't know, and you can't find it on the website, have them write down their contact so we can follow up with them. The other thing that I think is also useful, which, no one's telling you to spend money, but I can tell you that having candy on the table is always a good thing because people always gravitate to the candy. When you're representing ABPANC, there are 5 key messages that we try always to convey. Of course, these 5 key messages are included in your box of materials. We have hard copies of everything, but these are the 5 key messages. The first thing is CPN and Kappa certification has many benefits. The second thing we like to make sure everybody knows is that, how to choose the right exam, the one that fits the needs of their patients. We like to make sure everyone knows that we have resources to help exam candidates succeed. And we have resources for those who need information about recertification and how to maintain their credential. And then last but not least, we have rewarding opportunities for certified nurses who want to promote certification or volunteer. So again, we do have documents about each of these 5, and I am going to be going into some detail about each of them. So in your exhibiting package, you can expect that information. It'll all be in there. Okay. In addition to the key messages document, these are the other documents that you'll receive. You'll get something called a timely topics, and the timely topics has some of the answers to some of the more challenging questions about the certification process. You also have access to the news to share presentation. This is available on our website. There are 60-minute presentations that are tailored to each component that you can use in case you are given podium time. You can use that as your presentation. You can also condense it to a 15-minute presentation if you're given 15 minutes on the podium. And then also what comes in your exhibit package is the component meeting report. This is where we want to hear from you. So it's really important. It's your opportunity to share how your day went and also to provide us with feedback, as well as to put down any questions that may have come up that you see maybe a trend or a theme or something that maybe we're missing. It really helps us to make things better and to plan for future meetings. And all that we ask is that you send it back or send it to ABPANC. You can either fax it or email it, or another way is just to put it back in the box that gets sent back to Zelda. You can always include it in that box as well. So we talked about these a little bit, or you've heard these before. The first key message, which is the benefits of CPAN and Kappa certification. We're going to kind of get into these a little bit. So as you know, CPAN and Kappa certification is the gold standard for certification for paranesthesia nurses. So it's always important to emphasize that certification validates specialized knowledge and experience. It promotes the highest quality patient care, demonstrates commitment to continual learning, strengthens your personal and professional pride, and studying keeps you up to date on the latest best practices and gives you a competitive edge in your career. So next we're going to talk a little bit about what's new with certification and recertification, and what are the resources available to help candidates succeed in obtaining certification and recertification. Also in the next several slides, I'll be going over opportunities for certified nurses who want to promote certification. So basically what I'm saying is I'm going to touch on all those 2 through 5 of the key messages in the next few slides. Oops, I went a little bit too far. So what's new with certification? As you all know by now, probably we did update our requirements last year. So candidates who are wishing to sit for the exam need to have 1,200 hours of direct clinical practice, and these are hours in peri-anesthesia nursing in the 2 years prior to their initial certification. We also streamlined the dates and deadlines for certification, so these dates are not going to change year to year. So for the fall, from July 1st to September 15th, you can register. From September 15th to November 15th, you can take the exam. And then in the spring, from January 1st to March 15th, you can register for the exam. And then from March 15th to May 15th, you can take the exam. We also started with vouchers. This says vouchers for employers, but actually anybody can purchase vouchers. It can be a component, or it can just be, a group or an educator or whoever. It doesn't have to be just an employer. But we do offer vouchers, and also our newest program, which is Test Assured. I skipped over Learning Builder. Learning Builder, which most of you guys know by now, that is our new candidate management system. It is basically, for lack of a better way of describing it, it's the program, the computer program that you use to apply for certification and to apply for recertification. So Test Assured, this is our newest program. We're very excited about it. We just launched it this year. Because our nurses asked for it, we put together this program to provide them with some peace of mind. It's basically an extra incentive to take that final step in registering for the exam. The way this works is that when a candidate applies to take the exam, they pay an extra $50 fee at the time of registration. And what that does is it gives them the opportunity to take the exam a second time in case they don't successfully pass the first time. So it's sort of our version of a fail-safe program. We also, I should mention that because this is a new program, for those people, if you have somebody who comes up to your table and says, I rolled over my registration from the spring or last fall, and can I take advantage of that? Unfortunately, because of the way our system is set up, it's only eligible for new applications. starting July 2019. I don't think we have a lot of people who have rolled over, so you shouldn't get too many of those questions, but just in case you do, it is only eligible from July 2019 new applications on. So should mention that. The other thing that you'll see in your exhibit care package are all of these handouts and materials. These are our certification resources. In the top corner here, you'll see where it says 2 ABPANC apps. This goes over the 2 apps that we have available. One is a free CPN Kappa certification app, which is like a mini version of our website, very helpful for people who are thinking about becoming certified and trying to get themselves organized. There's also the other app is a $10 app, is our CPN Kappa study question app. Everybody gets, or people who purchase this app get 100 study questions. There are 50 CPN and 50 Kappa questions, and they're able to take those repeatedly, like they don't go away. They can practice those as many times as they like. You get 2 different pamphlets. One is the study tips pamphlets, which has some study tips in there that people find very helpful, and then the question and answer certification now handout, which has some general information about our exams. On the bottom here are the 2 really important handouts. One is gives you the snapshot of the requirements for initial certification. It also helps candidates figure out which exam is right for them. And then the other one, which is the CPN Kappa exam study tools. This is a dual-sided postcard. My favorite thing to give out, because it does have a list of all of our study resources, and then on the back is some information about our practice exams, which are very, very valuable. Also, you can refer everyone to our website. Our website has everything that you're going to have on your table. So under resources and study tools, it gives you that list of everything that ABPANC has available for certificants to certify or to help with taking their exam. I should mention that I like to have like my iPad or my iPhone or my laptop with me. I find it really helpful because then I can log on and show them the website and show them where to find things. If you're not able to do that because there's no Wi-Fi or whatever, fine. But I find that just having my phone there is really helpful because I can kind of navigate this really quickly for people, and people seem to like that. Also, ABPANC has certification coaches. This is a very popular program, and it's very helpful. Our candidates find it very helpful. So if you have somebody who wants a coach or wants to be a coach, please have them sign up on that lead sheet. We will contact them and get them hooked up with somebody to help to coach them or to be their coach. Or if they want to be a coach, we love to expand our volunteers. So we will, like I said, Zelda is also our liaison to our coaching program, so she can reach out to them, get them set up. So what's new with recertification? Because as you know, a lot of the people who come up to your table, they will already be certified, and that's fantastic. But they might have questions about recertification. So for them, we have a postcard that gives an overview of the recertification process. And you'll also, like I said, get the recertification handbook that will help you answer or you can use as a reference. But again, if you receive a question that you can't answer, just make a note of it on the lead sheet and we'll follow up. But as far as new things with recertification, we also updated the requirements here. Now candidates for recertification are required to have 900 clinical practice hours in the 3 years recertification period. We streamline these dates and deadlines as well. So the spring recertification deadline is now April 30th. The fall recertification deadline is October 31st. We did institute an easier reinstatement and audit process. Our audit selection is totally random, and it's a lot easier for candidates now. They get notified much quicker. They do have 2 weeks, though, to upload their documentation. So this is where we rely on you to kind of, give people this information, which is that as they're entering and logging their certification, their contact hours or their activities for credit, a good practice is to also upload documentation about it. So just in case they get audited, it'll be really easy for them because they just have to press a button and say, okay. Whereas if they weren't uploading their documentation all along, then they're required to do it at the end, the back end, when they're audited. So just a little tip for those of you who get people who come up to ask about recertification. We do recommend as a good practice to upload their documents. It's not required unless they're audited, but again, it's a good practice. And we also provide vouchers for employers for recertification, just like we do for certification. We have a lot of resources for certified nurses. Most important, we have the ribbons, the buttons, the pens. We have a couple different cards that one of them has like a little elevator speech about what it means to be certified, or what the meaning of CPN and Kappa certification is. So these are all things you can hand out to the certified nurses when they come up to your table. And then this is an example of the lead sheet that I've been talking about. This is, we send this to you in your package of materials, but we use these lead sheets so that we can follow up on any requests. If someone is interested in becoming, like I said, a coach, an item writer, or becoming even a board director, please have them sign their name on the lead sheet, hopefully legibly, with their contact information so that we can follow up with them. And if you're listening to this webinar, I will put a little plug in there. That means that you're probably passionate about certification. I hope you consider yourself, maybe nominating yourself. We do accept nominations for board positions up until October 31st. So just FYI, if you're interested in being on the board, please submit your self-nomination. Also, keep in mind that ABPANC volunteers, they do get contact hours towards recertification if they are coaches or item writers, or of course if they're on the board. So, that's one thing that is sort of like a little perk if you are involved with ABPANC. If you have a question, of course, or if somebody has a question, this is where they can write it down and, like I said, send it to us with their contact information, and then we follow up. We do ask, of course, that you return this lead sheet to us at the end. And again, it can be put into the box with your exhibit report form, or you can also fax it or mail it to Zelda as well. We offer a limited number of scholarships every year. These are available to all peri-anesthesia nurses who either need certification or for certification, but also we have scholarships for recertification as well. So the requirements of these are all found on our website. So again, you can refer candidates to our website for the details. We offer a Certification Achievement Award. This is a really great way for managers and leaders to, I'm sorry that my computer keeps skipping, but this is a great way for managers and leaders to recognize your staff. It's also a great way to get your group recognized. It's free. It is a very short application that we ask you to submit by January 31st. And what ends up happening is we highlight your group on Certified Nurses Day, and we also recognize these groups at the CPN Kappa Certification Luncheon at the ABPANC National Conference. So the Certification Achievement Award celebrates or recognizes units with 75% or 100% eligible peri-anesthesia nurses that are certified. So this is a great way, like I said, to recognize groups. And I encourage, whenever I get somebody who comes up to the table who tells me they're a manager or an assistant nurse manager or a director or something like that, I always say, hey, you know, we have this award that's really a wonderful way to recognize your staff and to put yourself on the map. We have a retired CPAN and Kappa status available to those individuals who meet this eligibility requirement. This program, basically what happens with this is if you are retired, you pay a $100 fee and you then hold the retired CPAN and or Kappa status designation. You get a frame certificate indicating that, and you also get a retired CPAN and or retired Kappa ribbon. We also invite our retired CPAN Kappa nurses to our celebration luncheon at the national conference, and they receive a special recognition there as well. So what about answering some difficult questions? These are the three things that we sort of encounter most often. Now this might change because people are becoming more you know, familiar with Learning Builder as time goes on. Learning Builder is ABPANC's candidate management system, like I mentioned earlier. It allows everyone to register to take the exam. It also allows certified nurses, when they're recertifying, to enter and track their contact hours as they earn them and update their information. So, and it's how we complete our application and submit for recertification. You can also, through Learning Builder, print your wallet, ID card, and your certificate. And we do have quite a few Learning Builder guides and video tutorials that we have posted on our website, and we've updated the frequently asked questions on the website under certification and recertification, those tabs, and that to help assist with most of the Learning Builder questions that you might encounter. Pediatrics, you know, we do get asked quite a bit about pediatric exam. Considering, you know, pediatric focused exam is always on ABPANC's strategic plan. We, you know, basically to offer this exam requires a feasibility study, which is sort of costly, and we need to be sure that before we invest in it, that, you know, there's a substantial market for this population. We do understand that, you know, there are a lot of paranesthesia nurses who work in children's hospitals that are interested in the certification program. However, our last study that we did, our data showed that we do a role delineation study, which is kind of like a job analysis. Our last data showed that our CPN and Kappa certified nurses, there was only about 4.2% that actually care for pediatric patients exclusively, meaning more than 50% of the time. So what that translated to, I won't get into too many statistics, but basically what we devised from all that is that our exams do have at least, as a minimum, 10% of our questions are pediatric or focus on the care of the pediatric patient. We do have probably more than 10%, but our minimum is 10%, so that we kind of reach that, or makes our exams a little more inclusive. But just know that, you know, we are always looking at this, and we do reevaluate this with every role delineation study that we do, which occurs every 5 years. So we are keeping an eye on it as things change, because as you know, nursing, things change, you know, continuously. So just let candidates know that, yes, I mean, it is something that is on our radar. It is something that we're constantly looking at. As far as choosing references, we do get a lot of questions about this. People want to know, like, how do I study? What do I do? What book do I read? That's the most common thing. What book do I read to pass? And it's really important to stress to candidates that the exam tests the ability to apply information that's found in our reference list. It's not a test of the book, of a particular book. Because if you, so basically studying from one reference or two references is really not enough, because the exam is not a test of book knowledge, it's a test of your practice, knowledge of your practice. So the way we use our references is to validate the questions on the exam. It's not, we don't write the questions from the references. So sometimes that's a little bit difficult for people to understand. So what I tell them is, look at our blueprint. Our test blueprint is the most valuable piece of information that you're going to look at first when you decide to take this exam, or whichever exam you choose, or both. Because that's going to tell you the content of the exam. And it's also going to help you narrow down or focus on the areas where maybe you're weak or where you're strong, and where you need to focus, like you're studying, versus maybe not focus so much studying or whatever. But as far as looking for things to study from, I always encourage people to be creative, but keep in mind that those reference lists, we've worked really hard to keep it more streamlined, and to use references that most people have on their unit already, i.e. the core curriculum, the standards, drain. I mean, these are things that people have on their unit already a lot of times, and if they don't, they're usually available in their medical library, or Wong's, pediatric nursing. I mean, these are books that are pretty well established or accepted references all the way around. But we do not write questions out of those books. Like, we write questions based on practice, and we use those books to validate those questions. So sometimes that needs to be explained to people when they come up and say, what book should I study from? Well, it's not really what book you should study from. It's how, you want to look at where your strengths and weaknesses are, and kind of go from there. The other thing I always recommend to everybody is to consider our practice exams, because the practice exams, they are buy one, get one. It's the closest thing to the real exam that they're going to get, meaning it helps kind of put them in that mode. It gives them an idea of how these questions are written, or the type of question they're going to get. And also the style of question, and also lets them, practice computer-based testing. So they're very valuable. I always recommend that, a candidate purchase those. Usually their workplace will pay for it. So that's good, because they can take the exam, the end of their studying, to kind of see how they've progressed. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents about the practice exams. I was hoping to allow a lot of time for questions and answers. I think I talked really fast, but I want to say, of course, thank you so much for joining me today. I now want to open it up for any questions that you guys might have. I think I didn't mute. Did I accidentally mute you guys? I think you guys can take yourself off mute if you have questions. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry. This is Shelley Rinfret, and I am from East Fannin, Maine, and I had actually just resent an email to Zelda today. A couple months ago, I had gone on my app that I have on my phone to review some information, and I found a few things that were either outdated or the app didn't seem to work correctly, and so I did email those specific points to Zelda. I resent them today. Just something as simple as the study, the exam dates, like when you open it up, and now it's clear that the dates are going to be the same every year, but yes, on that app it says spring and fall for 2019. I'm sorry, 18. So it doesn't show fall of 2019 or spring of 2020. So that part just seemed a little outdated. And like I said, I don't have them on the top of my head, but I did send those points out today. Again, if somebody wants to just take a look at them, because we all know, I know just from my own component that your website isn't up to date. It lacks a little bit of its integrity. So
thank you for bringing that to our attention. I appreciate that. Yeah, because we just changed those dates, so we will update that.
Yeah, and Vicki, this is Krista, if I may chime in. Thank you so much for making that comment. We are aware recently, and it might be through your communications, which we appreciate, that we do need to make some updates to our app. So we are currently working in that direction, and I do appreciate the feedback. The most up-to-date information about our exam program and our recertification program is always available on our website. So the app itself is a little bit lagging, unfortunately, but we're working to address that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, Vicki, this is Ursula. I have a question.
Hi, Ursula.
Our hospital celebrates like a Certified Nurses Day. And I'm wondering, would it be appropriate if I could have, it's usually in March, I think. Would it be appropriate to set up an ABPANC table for that day, or whatever, how many days they have the celebration at our hospital?
No, absolutely appropriate if you want to do that. Actually, that's one of my busiest weeks, is that and Panel week. So yeah, no, we also, ABPANC also will send you a Certified Nurses Day like promotional packet as well. It includes like a poster for everybody to sign, I believe, and I don't know, you probably know the other stuff that's in there, but yeah, no, in answer to your question, yes, that is a great idea to do it that day.
And Vicki, this is Krista, just to follow up, and I know Judy and or Zelda may want to chime in. We try to outreach to every hospital that's interested in our promotional packet for Certified Nurses Week. We will send you certain materials, but if you're looking for something more specific, we can try to accommodate your request for information as well. So we're a resource. Zelda is our point of contact, but also Judy and myself, who are all three of us are on this call, can be of assistance in that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. This is from Maine. I just want to say the Certified Nurses Day is March 19th, and I know it because it's my birthday.
Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you for letting me know. Let me put it down on my calendar. Sorry. No, that's awesome. Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Sherry Furo. I have a question. I'm from Nispana, and our state conference is coming up.
Okay.
So how do I find out if anybody is scheduled to come to our state conference from ABPANC?
Yeah, so you're in New York, right?
Yep, Nispana. Okay. We're having the conference on Long Island this year.
Ah, okay. You know, I'm not 100% sure of who is scheduled for that. I think, but the first thing it would be to reach out to Louise and Kathleen, the Region 4 directors.
Okay.
And you know, and like I said, and then Zelda may have that information for you, but we can send that to you. Are you the one coordinating the conference or coordinating
no,
the
there's one of our state components is doing it. Tina Strobe. So
okay. And she may have they may already have a plan, I'm not sure, as to who's going to that. But I would start with reaching out to Louise and Kathleen, because they would have that. Unfortunately, I don't know the answer.
No, that's fine. I just need to know who to ask. That's all.
Yeah.
Hi, I have a question. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, this is Naomi. I'm in Arizona, so I'm in ABPANC. And I recently became a CPAN coach. And a lot of the people that I've been able to get in contact with, when they ask me about like the resources link on ABPANC, they don't know where to actually those resources, like the books and the stuff that are listed for them to use for study material. There's no actual link or anything that they can click on to like take them to Amazon or wherever they would. They don't, you know, they don't know where to get those books from. So a lot of times I give them pictures of the ones that I looked up myself and that I purchased, but I don't necessarily where to direct them. Like when I studied for CPAN, luckily my boss had most of the resources, so I used hers or she gave me some.
That is something for us to consider. We do, we just offer like the list of the resource, the references, because like I said, we don't really, we use those as a reference for, validating our questions. We don't really necessarily use those books as, we don't test necessarily from the books. We encourage people to use those really just to look up information if they want, if they need to like refresh their knowledge. But I understand what you're saying. I think that, we can definitely look at that, like having links for those references and everything. Because we don't, we're not the authors of those. I'm not sure. I have to look in to see if there's like some restrictions with us like doing that. But yeah, I mean, that's good if you're able to have a picture for that. That's a really good way to, so that way you know which one is the most up to date. It's like, is it the blue book? Is it the green book or whatever? But thank you for that suggestion. Definitely, we can look into that.
Okay.
Naomi, this
Yes.
is Kim. One of the places that a lot of the people who I've helped, if you have a hospital nearby with a library, almost always they have those resources in the library. They can check them out. And if not, usually your librarian is glad to order it in for you.
I will look into that, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, Kim.
Hi, this is Kathy Prince. I am just outside of Cleveland, and I'm a certification coach. Can I get this webinar or the PowerPoint sent to my email? There were too many facts that Vicki went through too fast. Notes.
Yes,
I'm going to put you on mute and listen for your answer.
Okay. Vicki, this is Krista. I can take this one if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay. So our plan is to upload this particular webinar to our website, and what we can do is send a link out to everyone on the call when it's posted, so you can access it right through our website.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Vicki, this is Ursula again. Back to the question about where to get the resources. A lot of this, you can go on the ASPAN website, go to the ASPAN store. There's information there, and also the publisher Elsevier has a lot of the books like Drains and the critical care approach to peri-anesthesia nursing is an excellent resource, and all those books are available from Elsevier.
Okay.
One more comment on where to get books. We've had study members who are homeschool moms and informed me that those can be rented off of Amazon as well.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Excuse me, this is Jackie Knopf. And if you all do have Elsevier and you have Elsevier Clinical Key, the core curriculum book is actually on it, and you can access it from that.
There you go.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you. Other questions? Or no? No. No. Well, I I was going to say, I know I realize I talk kind of fast. Anybody have any other, if you guys have any other questions, or if you have any, concerns, of course, you can certainly contact us. Like I said, all of our emails and our contact information is on our website. And like, again, we really appreciate your help in getting out the word about certification and helping everybody with their recertification. And, like I said, it's invaluable to us, and we're also here to help you with that. So whatever we can do to make the process easier for you, please let us know. And again, thank you for joining us. Like Krista said, we did record this, so you'll be able to access it for information later as well. And with that, I'm going to say good night.
Vicki?
Yes, one more thing.
This is Kim. Could I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
How much as a director I appreciate these folks being willing to do this, because
Yes.
it's physically impossible for the directors to get to all of the component meetings, and how valuable it is for us to have at least a representative there. And we really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, Kim. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So with that, good night, everybody. And, keep doing everything you're doing. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.